Right now, a local school district employee is behind bars, accused of having inappropriate relations with an underage student. And is your pet at risk? The FDA puts out a list of more than a dozen dog food brands linked to increased risks of canine heart disease.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
A 42-year-old Madison man is in jail tonight facing felony charges for allegedly exchanging explicit photos and messages with a 16-year-old student as a Sun Prairie area school district employee. Our Madeline O'Neill is following this story and tells us police's message for every parent tonight.
Police are still investigating Michael A. Johnson after arresting him in his Madison home while executing a search warrant this morning. They're looking into his electronic devices, his laptop, tablet, and phone, and suggest you do the same with your children.
Social media is great, but social media has a lot of issues.
Sun Prairie police began investigating Michael A. Johnson late last week after getting a tip from a Sun Prairie area school district employee.
As soon as they heard, their next phone call was to us.
The caller told police that Johnson, who worked as a youth advocate at Sun Prairie High School, exchanged explicit photos and messages with a 16-year-old student.
Our detectives worked rather aggressively on this case, especially because you've got, a situation involving a school district employee, with a minor child.
Now arrested, Johnson is facing felony charges of use of a computer to facilitate a child sex crime and sexual exploitation of a child, with potentially more to come as police investigate.
We're going to do a vigorous search of those electronic devices that we seized today, and with that, you could have more interviews of potential witnesses, people that have made more information on this that could lead to that. It could lead to us contacting social media companies and getting information from them. So it could spin quite a way.
Lieutenant Kevin Konopacki says the investigation could lead them to additional victims as well.
Doesn't mean that's going to happen in this case, but when you've seen in the past, when you have something like this, unfortunately, there's a good chance that there could be more than one victim.
He hopes one message will get through to parents.
My biggest advice to parents out there is make sure you're involved in your child's life. Make sure you know what your child's doing. What social media accounts are they on? Who are they talking with?
While the Sun Prairie Area School District declined an on-camera interview, they tell us Johnson was a contracted employee for the past year and didn't have any district duties this summer. Since the investigation began, the district says an order has been in place to keep Johnson off of school property.
6 people were able to escape a house fire in Beloit this afternoon. This happened on Harrison Avenue just before 3:30. The Beloit Fire Department says one side of the house was engulfed in flames when they arrived. 2 dogs were rescued from the basement and no one was injured. The cause is under investigation. A nearby home also had damage because it was so close. We had some strong storms roll through earlier tonight, but this is video from Milwaukee. That part of the state was hit pretty hard. Several downed trees in Milwaukee and the Racine area tonight. And let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti, who has our first alert forecast. Gary?
Charlotte, most of the storms are going south of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line, although a few storms are moving into Grant County. But most of the storms earlier this evening that produced severe weather were into the Milwaukee area. We even had some storms that had reports of strong winds, especially like in the 430 to 530 range here in West Allis, for example. Tree branches 12 inches in diameter were knocked down by the strong winds. You can see right now on high-resolution Doppler radar some storms just crossing Mississippi River into southwestern portions of Grant County. It looks like another shower or thunderstorm just south of Monroe. But as we put the radar into motion, you can see those storms heading generally to the east, so they should stay south of Madison. High in Madison today, 90 degrees. It was 91 in Janesville and Boscobel. Many locations were in the mid-80s to around 90. Current temperatures are in the middle 70s for the most part, and the dew point temperatures are still pretty high. By tomorrow, look for temperatures to be back in the middle 80s. Another round of showers and thunderstorms possible, mainly in the afternoon. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Janesville police say they're looking for a man caught on camera attempting to enter a home on the east side. This happened around 5 a.m. last Thursday. The homeowner says he was home sleeping at the time. Anyone with information on this man is encouraged to call Janesville police directly. The Dane County District Attorney's Office is offering trauma response specialists for anyone affected by the shooting at Shake the Lake over the weekend. A local psychologist says symptoms could be a rapid heart rate, change in appetite, and trouble sleeping. She recommends taking care of physical needs and maintaining a normal routine. If you or your child were affected by the shooting at Shake the Lake, you can call the DA's crime response team at the number on your screen. The State Department of Military Affairs is identifying the state employee who died yesterday at Volk Field near Camp Douglas. 40-year-old Nicholas Jans was a facility maintenance specialist. The DMA says he touched a live electrical source while replacing light bulbs on a runway. A family-owned appliance company based in Fitchburg is expanding its operations. Sub-Zero Group is planning to build a new $70 million, 350,000 square foot facility in Fitchburg. In a news release this morning, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation said the project will create 100 jobs over the next 3 years. WISC will support it with $1 million state income tax credits over the next 4 years. It took the Beltline more than an hour to recover after a crash brought traffic to a near standstill this afternoon. Dane County Dispatch told News 3 Now crews responded to a rollover crash just before 6 o'clock tonight, which closed the right 3 eastbound lanes near Rimrock Road. The crash was cleared about an hour later. No word on any injuries. New progress in the FDA study into increased heart disease in dogs shows a potential link between the disease and grain-free dog food brands. Amy Reed spoke with a local veterinarian who says what's listed in the ingredients isn't nearly as important as what else is on the label.
You silly boys. It's a hot day, but Cara hangs with her dogs in the shade.
They're like my fur babies. I love them to death.
She looks out for what they need, food and water. On the former, she's glad she listened to her vet instead of the TV.
You go with what you hear, so if that means commercial after commercial saying grain-free, you kind of go with it. And our vet said, don't do that. That's, you need it just like they do.
That's the same kind of advice you'd hear from Dr. Ken.
Unfortunately, the food industry, pet food industry, kind of got hijacked by marketers.
He's been following this since the research into increased heart disease in dogs started last year.
Most of my colleagues really never bought into the grain-free. Some did. Again, it was a huge push by marketing from newer companies that this was the thing to do, and some of the larger companies followed along as well.
He said the study still has to examine other environmental factors, but right now shows a potential link between health and diet, which he's preached for a while.
We're just kind of skimming the surface of a very complex problem.
While the rest of the results are worked out, he recommends picking a dog food based on what it does have: an AFCO feeding trial, a board-certified nutritionist, and information on the manufacturer right on the label. And that's not just for dogs, but for cats too. After all, these pets are like your children.
Bear!
And if you're anything like Cara,
Gonna be a celebrity, buddy.
that means giving them the best you can.
They give us back more than we can give them, so of course I want them to live long, healthy lives.
Amy Reed, News 3 Now.
This is the list of dog foods listed by the FDA. It includes popular brands like Blue Buffalo, Taste of the Wild, and Nutrisource. The FDA said pet owners should talk to their veterinarian before making any switches to find the kind of food that works best for your pet's health. As the old saying goes, corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July, but this year it's more like ankle-high, and that could be driving up costs at the grocery store. Many crops are currently struggling due to the wet and cool conditions. About 70% of this year's crop is now in, but a delayed start is beginning to show its impact.
We're looking at one of the coolest seasons on record, at least from what we're looking at from UW data. In addition, we're looking at a very wet season as well. So we're in that 4th to 6th wettest season on record. So those two combined, what we're seeing is a real challenge for farmers.
With a delayed harvest due to the weather conditions, you should expect the price of sweet corn to rise this year. StubHub is kicking off a new partnership with the Make-A-Wish Foundation by sponsoring a Wisconsin teen's wish. 14-year-old Taryn has an incurable heart disease. The new Ticket Forward program sent her on a trip to New York City to see Broadway shows and meet cast members. StubHub says research shows attending live events reduces stress, boosts happiness, and has lasting health benefits. You can nominate someone for the Ticket Forward program at stubhub.com/ticketforward. Still ahead tonight, final preparations in D.C. ahead of a busy 4th of July weekend. Plus, a military jury hands down its verdict in the case of a Navy SEAL accused of killing a teenage prisoner. We'll have that ruling next. Breaking news tonight, auto industry icon Lee Iacocca, once one of America's highest profile business executives, has died. He was instrumental in the creation of the Ford Mustang and the Chrysler minivan. His family says he died of natural causes. Lee Iacocca was 94 years old. We are well into summer and construction season, but starting tomorrow, the Wisconsin DOT will be closing down all major construction zones for the holiday weekend. They hope that will ease the congestion in those areas so travelers can get to their destinations safely and efficiently. Across the country, a record-breaking number of people, nearly 49 million, are expected to travel. If you're going to be traveling to the D.C. area on Thursday, expect even bigger delays. The Federal Aviation Administration announced today that all operations at Ronald Reagan National Airport would be suspended for an hour and a half between 6:15 and 7:45 p.m. to allow for a ceremonial flyover for President Trump's Salute to America celebrations. The runways will also be closed from 9 to 9:45 p.m. for the annual fireworks display, which is not connected to President Trump's celebration. Army tanks arrived at a rail yard in D.C. today. They will also be used in the president's ceremony on Thursday at the Lincoln Memorial. Today, the finishing touches were put in place along the National Mall. The National Park Service expects hundreds of thousands of visitors. The full cost of the festivities won't be known until after it is all over. A military jury in San Diego has found a Navy SEAL not guilty of committing murder in Iraq. Tonight, the jury also found Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher not guilty of all other counts except for one, posing for photographs with a dead war casualty. Gallagher was accused of fatally stabbing a teenage Islamic State prisoner who had been wounded by an airstrike in Iraq in 2017. He was also accused of other crimes, including 2 counts of attempted murder. Chicago police took 7 people into custody overnight after vandals defaced several iconic artifacts, including the bean at Millennium Park. The taggers also sprayed graffiti on a memorial wall in the Cancer Survivors Garden at Maggie Daley Park, as well as benches and walls throughout the parks. The city worked to remove the graffiti this morning. One family made a lifelong memory today at the Dane County Regional Airport. LaVaniel McMurray met his daughter Ty and his son Tam for the first time ever. McMurray didn't even know he had children when he was serving overseas in Vietnam at 18 years old. A woman he was involved with became pregnant, but they never kept in contact with one another. And McMurray never knew she was pregnant with his twins. When the kids were 3 days old, the mother gave those kids up for adoption. And it wasn't until the daughter did a DNA test 50 years later that she was able to reconnect the family back together.
So exciting. I'm very excited because I think I never had family. But now God it gave me this big family now.
All of them have families of their own, but they plan on having more reunions in the future so everyone can meet the entire family. Well, here's some cool video released today showing the progress of the Capitol East District parking ramp downtown. This is at the intersection of East Main Street and South Livingston, right across the street from the Sylvie. The project was approved by the city back in 2017, and the construction process began shortly afterwards. The garage will have upwards of 650 stalls, and some will also include commercial space. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity today for some people in South America. A total solar eclipse crossed Chile this afternoon. A solar eclipse like this one is when the Earth, Moon, and Sun all line up and the Moon blocks the Sun's entire surface. NASA says the total eclipse lasted only for a few minutes. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now with a look at our forecast.
Good thing we didn't have the solar eclipse here because we wouldn't be able to see much of it. I mean, we had some sunshine, but we also had a fair amount of clouds and some thunderstorms that popped up late this afternoon and this evening. As we take a look at high-resolution Doppler radar right now, there are some showers and thunderstorms in far southwestern portions of Grant County, just north of Dubuque, Iowa, around Dickeyville. These are heading off toward the east-southeast. Looks like a couple of showers just southeast of Monroe, also heading to the east-southeast. So areas south of Madison still may see a shower or a thunderstorm over the next couple of hours, but everything else has kind of moved out of the area. The farther north you are, the lesser the chances that you're going to see any rain. And in fact, future radar over the next 3 hours keeps the bulk of the showers and thunderstorms south of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. Right now, flash flood warnings are in effect for the Quad Cities in northwestern Illinois and eastern Iowa. They've been receiving very heavy rain tonight. All the severe weather tonight or this evening was pretty much concentrated over the Milwaukee area from Ozaukee County down into Milwaukee. Again, West Dallas, some large tree limbs blown down about 4:30. The severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, still a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms. An isolated strong to severe storm can't be ruled out near the Illinois state line. Tomorrow, there'll also be a marginal risk over far southwestern Wisconsin, but more so in Iowa and Illinois. Again, an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm, very similar to what we saw today. We were going to see thunderstorms over the next couple of days. Everybody will get some rain at some point. If you add up the rain over the next couple of days, computer models are pointing out at about an inch to an inch and a half of rain over southern Wisconsin, although not all at once. Some areas could pick up 2 or 3 or 4 inches of rain if you get caught underneath a couple of heavier thunderstorms, while some areas will see much less than an inch of rain if you miss out on the rain or much of it altogether. So again, it's going to be spotty, very typical for what you would see this time of year. Live view from the Quimby Radio Skycam in Platteville. Every once in a while, we've been seeing some flashes of lightning out to the west. The WISC Skycam, not seeing too much lightning out there right now because everything is pretty much south of us. As we check out the almanac for today here in Madison, we hit 90 degrees again. The low temperature is 71, but right now our temperature is at 74 degrees. Skies are partly cloudy. The air is calm and the humidity quite high. We'll probably see some patchy areas of fog toward tomorrow morning. Dew point temperature right now, 68 degrees. High temperatures in the mid-80s, low to mid-80s in northern Wisconsin, around 90 in the southern part of the state. Milwaukee hit 93 before the storms rolled on through. Now temperatures are mainly in the 70s in southern Wisconsin and in the 60s in the northern part of the state. But the dew point temperatures are still very high, upper 60s to around 70. The air dries out a little bit farther to the north, but it'll be a couple of days before that drier air works its way southward and limits our chances for rain. You can see the showers and thunderstorms popping up this afternoon, kind of going along a stationary front that's located just to our south that basically runs right along the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. South of there, temperatures still in the 80s. North of there, not much cooler, in the 70s. The dew point temperatures are also high, so it feels just as warm. The Metro Futurecast overnight, look for a low of 69, mild and muggy, patchy fog late. And again, a shower or thunderstorm chance for the next couple of hours, mainly near the Illinois state line. Tomorrow, a day similar to today with a high of 84. Shower and thunderstorm chances pop up in the afternoon. Humidity levels will still be high. On Future Track, the thunderstorm chances move away overnight. Some patchy fog, lows in the upper 60s. Highs tomorrow, middle 80s. Again, thunderstorms popping up in the heat of the afternoon, continuing into the evening and then dying down overnight. Lows in the upper 60s. 4th of July, same story. Late afternoon, we'll see a shower or thunderstorm chance. High temperatures in the 80s. Rainfall amounts 1 inch to 1.5 inches over the next couple of days. 7 to 10 day forecast. Once we see the break in the humidity, the rain chances go away Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The air feels much more comfortable. Maybe a couple of thunderstorms midweek, but for the most part, next week looking pretty nice overall.
All right, Gary, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll fire up the Wayback Machine to introduce the latest inductee into the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. The story coming up in sports.
The Brewers start the night in first place in the National League Central, a game ahead of the Cubs as they play the second game of their series in Cincinnati tonight. Nothing new here. Christian Yelich hit another homer. About the same place he hit one last night. That's 31 homers for Yelich, a club record before the All-Star break. The Major League record, 39 before the break by Barry Bonds. The game goes to extra innings. Here's the play that wins it. Jose Iglesias singles to right. Yelich kind of nonchalants the throw in. This is going to get ugly. It gets by Eric Thames, and there's nobody there to back it up. Yasiel Puig started on first. He comes all the way around to score the winning run. Final at 11, Reds 5, Brewers 4 in Pittsburgh. They've had a long weather delay. The Pirates lead the Cubs 5-0 in the 7th. That's not our video. That's what they turn the lights on and off after they win, so don't be concerned. The Madison Mallards wrap up the first half with a rain-shortened 5-4 win against the Lakeshore Chinooks. The Mallards had the best record in the Northwoods League in the first half of the season, going 25-11. The United States is into the Women's World Cup final. The Americans defeated England 2-1 in the semis today, so they'll play for their second straight title Sunday in Lyon, France. Bit of a surprise, Megan Rapinoe doesn't play. She's battling a hamstring injury, but the U.S. got by. 10th minute, great feed to Kristen Press, who puts it in. 1-0 USA. England would tie it in the 19th minute, but then in the 31st minute, boy, a pretty goal. Abby Dahlkemper crosses for Alex Morgan, and on her 30th birthday, Morgan heads it in for her 6th goal of the World Cup, 2-1 USA. Then, 83rd minute, England's awarded a penalty kick, but Alyssa Nair stops England's captain, Steph Houghton, and saves the game. Final score, USA 2, England 1, off to the championship game Sunday.
She was incredible by the team tonight, and Alyssa Nair, she needs to be player of the match. Honestly, she saved her butts today, and honestly, this was such a great game for us to build on, and now we made it to the final. This is what we've been waiting on.
Well, one thing to keep an eye on, former Badger Rose Lavelle injured her hamstring in the 64th minute. Lavelle was walking with a limp, taken out of the game. Megan Rapinoe says she expects to play Sunday, but Rose Lavelle, well, we'll have to wait to see what Sunday brings. The United States will know their opponent tomorrow afternoon as the Netherlands against Sweden in the other semifinal in France. The World Cup final is Sunday morning, 10 in the morning, in the same stadium they played in today in Lyon, France. An interesting announcement from Edgewood College today. They're adding men's and women's lacrosse to their athletic lineup. Starting in the 2020-21 academic year, Edgewood College will have men's and women's lacrosse teams that will play in Division III. And Trent Jackson is the latest announcement of inductees for this year's class of the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. Here's some vintage video from 1989 when Jackson, Danny Jones, and Tim Locum led the Badgers to the NIT tournament. That was the Badgers' first postseason appearance in 47 years. After his playing days, Jackson was a director of development at the UW Foundation and has since developed a very successful apparel business, Rough Sportswear. This September, Trent Jackson into the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. And we'll be right back.
A few thunderstorms still rolling around southern Grant County. Otherwise, most of those will end later on tonight. Expect some storms tomorrow afternoon again as the heat and humidity continue.
Do something good. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.